The Spin-off Podcast Network.
This is Kiwi is back for a brand new season with more inspiring kōrero from special guests including rugby player, father and role model TJ Perenara.
My family bring me joy. Rugby brings me joy too, but it's not the same joy as my family brings me.
And global dancer and choreographer Kirsten Dodgen.
For some reason, people think I'm very intimidating.
Listen to the new season of This is Kiwi, brought to you by the Spin-off Podcast Network in collaboration with KiwiBank. Available now wherever you get your podcasts.
The land down under has never been easier to reach. United Airlines has more flights between the U.S. and Australia than any other U.S. airline, so you can fly nonstop to destinations like Sydney, Melbourne, and Brisbane. Explore dazzling cities, savor the very best of Aussie cuisine, and get up close and personal with the wildlife. Who doesn't want to hold a koala? Go to united.com/Australia to book your adventure.
Oh, actually, I heard from Colin last night. Holy shit. Colin texted me.
I saw Colin on Friday and he gave me like a very intense kiss on both cheeks.
Like face cheek and bum cheek?
So 8:31 p.m. at night, I receive a text from Colin Mathura Jeffrey. It's images. The first image is this.
Oh my God.
What is
A
that?
it's a
man
man in
who may or
corn.
may not be.
Journals.
Is that the guy? Who's that handsome man who was Superman? The big jaw man? Henry Cavill.
Oh, I thought it was
Might
Jimmy
be Henry
Jackson.
Cavill?
It's not.
Or is it AI?
I think it's AI.
Sorry, is he in candy corn or corn kernel? It's hard to tell.
It is. It's hard to tell, to be honest. And in the next one,
Oh.
same
Whoa.
man,
Whoa.
kind of
Whoa.
like, yeah, giving it
That's
heaps on a
racy.
corn cob.
Unconventional
just-
method.
He's a corny. And that was the whole message.
That's lovely.
Did he?
Isn't it
Did
just
he stumble
perfect?
across those images and think must send them to Alex, or did he search for those images? That's the big
Did
question.
he generate them himself? You know, there is a possibility
Yeah.
where he is working with AI.
Big AI.
We just don't know. But it's a great life that I've got.
Kia ora, welcome to what is like the final Real Pod proper, like regular pod before we do the big farewell live stream, which we know is just going to be what it is. Who knows what that is?
Penultimate.
This is the
I
penultimate.
love penultimate.
Okay. Kia ora, I'm Jane. I'm joined by Duncan Grieve and Alex Casey. Welcome to it.
Kia ora, Jane.
We've just heard about Colin Mathura Jeffrey sending lovely pics to Alex. We are, I don't know, we're a little bit in a weird spot for obvious reasons, but we're going to plough on in pod regardless because there is an MKR final to discuss.
And it was yum.
It was
I've
real
once again
yum.
crammed in watching it, and I haven't eaten enough.
I know.
And God, I could go a linguine right
I
now.
could go all the things. I could go except for the pate. I'm not a pate gal.
No, I
don't
find
like,
the whole...
I don't like duck and I don't like octopus, but we'll get to that.
Okay, we'll get to that. Should we do some real news first? The realist of news is that this is the second to last episode of the Real Pod ever. We are going to be holding a live stream at midday tomorrow. We invite you to come along. There's a link. Well, just go to our spin-off YouTube channel and then you'll find it there. Midday tomorrow, it's a date. If you're listening to this on Wednesday, midday today. If it's after midday, you've missed it. But you can go back and watch it. But we encourage you to join us and ask some questions. Do a bit of an AMA.
We'd like that.
We would like that a
I'm
lot.
worried if we go live, you know the stuff we have to cut out of this
I
podcast
know.
week to week. You know the files that Samuel is sitting on.
That's true, but
What are
on the
they-
other hand...
What are they going to do?
They can't cancel us. We've cancelled ourselves.
That's right. We have literally nothing else to lose now.
I mean, it's
You're
not
right.
like we're going to do some crazy Benny Hill blue pod.
Oh,
Contemporary reference. But we're going to leave it all on the floor, and there will be no forever after. So, it'll just be an object existing in the world, and there's no past or there's a past, but there's no future, so it's fine.
Wow,
I think
that's
it's
real
fine.
intense. I mean, I think it's going to either be the best pod we've ever done or the worst pod we've ever done, but either way,
I
it's going
think
to be
it'll be both.
significant.
It'll be
It could be
both.
both. There's a duality in this world, you know?
It's interesting that we are ending our podcast the same week that also the Project New Zealand is ending. You know, leaving a huge gaping hole in the sort of funny news area.
It is. That's a great point. I mean, obviously, the relative scale of these two operations.
Exactly on par.
We do not need to discuss the scales.
But
you know?
I do think there is, if I may be forgiven a little tangential,
go.
serious moment. Yeah, buckle up. It is very end of the monoculture. Like, that's what the Real Pod and the project were built on, was like, here is a way of wrapping a whole bunch of things which are happening in the world in a sort of news and culture, pop culture-y space, and getting together and discussing them. And as there are fewer and fewer of those sort of shared moments, the places that discuss them kind of feel like they're grabbing at things which are sort of disappearing in front of them. And as I've been reflecting over the last few weeks about the end of the Real Pod and thinking about why, all the various things that have fed into that, one of them, I think, undeniably is the sense that these reality TV shows, which are the sort of the core business of us, they don't grip the same number of people in the same way anymore, and that changes the feeling of doing the podcast. The community is still there, but it just doesn't have this like, oh, this show's going to be enormous and grip the country, and therefore the podcast will feed off that. Am I correct?
Yeah, it's a fragmented audience, right? Is that a good way of...
Well, yeah, that's a much more succinct way of putting it.
Thank you.
You know, that's not really my specialty.
If you could just keep your fold hat on for a moment, I want to know what reality TV was promised in the upfronts.
Okay, so the big thing was they just went heavy on property because, as our good friend and colleague Bernard Hickey famously puts it, New Zealand is a nothing if not a property market with some bits tacked on. So there is a New Zealand version of Love It or List It, which I'm very excited about. I love that format. And also the host of the iconic English version of that, Phil Spencer, one of the co-hosts, is coming down to do, yes, extremely Jane, to do a show which I think sounds quite obnoxious, called New Zealand's Most Lovely Houses or something, which is basically about some real flash houses, sort of like grand designs but without any of the work. And there are there's like New Zealand's Most Sustainable Home or some kind of
my dream green home.
That is just not going to be watched by anyone. I'm sorry.
But I mean all of the I love property shows too. I mean, you and I have a certain generation, I suppose, and we both have crushes on Phil and Kirsty from Location. But look, it's not great recap stuff.
No. I've always struggled with the block as well.
The block, and I mean, I know MKR, they've shot a new season as well.
And CTI is coming back. There were rumours.
I've heard the rumours
that it wasn't going to, but it is returning. I think Bake Off is back as well, but it doesn't feel.
Yeah, because they held it. Bake Off was going to run this year, remember, and they've just pushed it. So it's sort of
it's all still weird, and I think there's. What we're lacking, what that CTI has, is that kind of the silliness, to our reality lineup to come. And
or the romance. I mean, we're getting Maths NZ back again next year on 3.
Maybe we shouldn't shut down. Actually, there's a few things there.
Well, there's certainly enough to talk about. I think there's just not enough of us to do the talking.
That's true.
There's a lot banking on Maths, I feel like. I feel like that is the last test of reality romance in particular. Like, can we do it? Can people watch it? Can they do it and not fuck it up and not invite some like horrible man
I'll tell you what,
onto the scene?
I've been rewatching, I think I mentioned a few weeks ago, rewatching Real Housewives of Auckland, and fuck, that was a banger to be able to recap. Like, it really was, I mean, full of problems, but boy, oh boy, it is a comedy show from start to finish.
Yeah, that was probably, like, if you were to pick, we should probably save this for Wednesday, actually, but... we should talk about our favourite shows.
Okay.
Then
Let's do
I've
that.
got one in mind. It could be anything. Could be what Jane just talked about. Maybe I'll say something different. Who knows if I'll even be alive.
I've actually written down a different idea, so I look forward to that.
Yay, it's very exciting. Okay, look, we need to discuss this Alex, please. Vanda, you had... I do not know how you do this. You're not even in Auckland anymore, where arguably most of the celebs are, and you're having just as many celeb sightings as you always have.
I got a magnet. No, I went to the Naomarsh Crime Writing Awards in Christchurch on Friday night. You know me, a literary type. I'm on the scene.
She goes out though. That is actually a big part of where she collects these. They don't come to a living room.
But anytime I go out, and I saw Guy Williams at the cafe the other day.
Oh yeah,
and that was it. But
it counts.
It kind of counts, except for it's like he's always there.
He does. He does work around the corner. It's almost more noteworthy if you go out and you don't see Guy Williams at this point.
Okay. Anyway, back to Darth Vander, because that's a huge get.
Yeah, and like a cool sort of niche, but also massive get, you know? She's a crime writer, obviously. That was why she was cast on The Traders. So she was actually hosting the awards, which were a hybrid kind of quiz awards night. And she was just fantastic. But before that, she was just sort of milling about. And I was like, I'm pouncing. Here I go. Walked up and I was like, hello, Vanda. Like way too friendly, way too high pitched. And she looked scared. And I was like, I'm just a huge fan of, and I realized, given the context of where we were, that I was going to say, of your writing. But I went, I'm a huge fan of your being in The Traders NZ.
Huge fan of you being cast. Not necessarily a performance.
No, the performance was good.
The performance was good.
She looks scared and she said, what's your name? Calling the police. And I told her that my name's Alex and that I covered the show for the spin-off and we did a podcast. She didn't look overly like she knew what I was saying at any point.
Just a quick interjection. Do you feel like it's cooler and funnier and more real pod when they have no idea what any of the things that you've said are, or when they're like big fans? I'm a huge
it's so much better
fan
when
of the big humiliation.
Yeah. But then it's also you're putting them on a journey of discovery, you know? Like she can go and relive soon. We'll talk about it off. Is the Substack stuff going to stay up?
It's going to stay up.
Sandra wants to go back and listen to the Traders.
We're also putting it all backdating it into the feed, so it'll be free for all. It's our lasting gift. That you can go back and enjoy the Traders and MKR recaps.
That's how we'd like to be remembered.
Vanda was very nice. I tried to get her to talk shit about anybody and she wouldn't. She said it was all exactly as you saw it. Paul Henry never dropped out of character the whole time. He was constantly just being sort of devilish.
I mean, I don't think that's a character. I think that is his character. It's just who he is.
And they really did get locked away alone every night with just, a pen and paper. She did say there was quite a bit of drinking, which I'm sure is, we kind of saw that.
Yeah.
We saw that on camera. But yeah, and then she was just a fantastic quizmaster. She was rocking a rubber chicken like you wouldn't believe.
What?
How?
That like crazy. Kind of like, I guess, her version of hands on heads, like getting attention. She would just sort of squeeze the rubber chicken whenever she needed
that's
us.
good stuff from Vanda.
It was just cool. I like awesome. And how cool to just be like a prolific New Zealand crime writer and a television star. That's something we can all aspire to, I think.
Wow. What happened? Why do we...
We just stopped. We're running out of puff.
Anyway, I had a great time.
I don't even think I left the house over the weekend, so that's my news. What about you, Duncan?
Oh, I did way too much. I did a phenomenal amount of gardening such that I fell asleep 4 separate times yesterday during the day. Only twice during Candy Cane Lane, the premiere of the new Eddie Murphy Christmas movie.
But the other 2 times during MK, were you watching your MKR screeners?
One time was during that, and then another time was watching the National Basketball Association. I am bodily, like, absolutely broken right now.
What gardening were you doing?
Just the big wash. Yeah.
Wow.
Like the big mow, the big trim, the big 4 bins full.
That's basically the big wash as well, isn't it?
Exactly
A lot of ways.
Relatable.
And yeah, it was just, and I also was like spent over an hour as the garbage man at Fair Day at Newton Central School Centenary. Where I saw celebrities, including Guy Mont. Again, just too easy to collect that one. Jake Tame was there somewhere, but I did not see him. And At Candy Cane Lane, I saw Greg Bruce, noted celebrity, canvas writer Greg Bruce was given a lot of chocky, like the Whittaker's candy cane chocolate bars, which are freaking delicious.
Sorry, what? Candy Cane
They're
the
like
movie.
supposed to
Okay.
replicate the vibe of a candy cane in chocolate form, which is
Is it a white chocolate?
No,
Tell?
it's not.
No.
It's a mint chocolate, but with like little crispy little, like little shards almost in it.
Okay. So you went to a celebrity event and got dazzled and given free things.
I did, though.
And you felt like
Ultra small popcorn, and you could grab a drink, but I grabbed a full sugar Sprite and not a zero sugar Sprite, and then and didn't drink it because that's what's wrong with me. While I'm also just eating like half a block of chocolate, but I had some good sleeps, so pretty good.
I had some good sleep. I had some good naps over the weekend. God, this is why we got to stop.
this is
It. I mean,
Yeah, we're just done. I think I might be
so boring.
ready for the big sleep.
This is
God.
like the fourth time in the last half an hour that you're like, I think I'm like
just
got no
keen
life
to-
left. It's
I
done.
wanna
I'm
tap
out.
out. Oh,
Oh my
so
God.
exhausted.
Okay.
Can you just, Sam, you're going to add some Benny Hill music under this whole bit.
I tell you what, this will perk us up. We'll get into reality check and recap. MKR.
I have 4 weeks to decide I'm going to drop my entire life.
I am disgusted at how much you have copied my husband.
This is fine.
I mean, that's the best of us, isn't it? That's just,
Poor-
that is culture.
Paul Williams. What a talent. Underrated part of why this show is good.
Has he been in touch since the hearing
Paul
the
Williams
news?
does not know what the real pod is. It's one of the many.
Damn it. Okay, we are at the Officers' Mess in Devonport. It's finale week on MKR. It's a very big deal. The chefs are wearing their chefs. No, hang on. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You got it.
Are they wearing their chef's whites at the Officers' Mess? No, that's it.
At the comedian lunch.
Not
I
at the
don't think
comedian
I
lunch.
did.
No, that was for the French cafe.
Oh, I forgot about
That was
this.
just Hawaiian shit.
Yeah. Okay.
That comedian lunch had the same energy as this
It
day
did.
right now.
Honestly, what?
It was.
Has there ever been so few jokes land with a big
Wow.
bunch of nominally funny people?
Okay, so this is Jess and Cindy versus Kurt and Matt for a position in the grand final. And we have comedians Joe Damon, Ruby Esther, Johnny Bruff, Jack Ansett, Liv McPherson, Nick Rado, Nick Gibb, or maybe
I think Liv McKenzie.
Liv McKenzie. So look,
Correct.
Also, I think I might have put 2 Nicks in and one might not be a Nick. This and Brooke Rusko. I don't recognise some of these comedians so much.
I recognise quite a few of them. In fact, I saw Liv McKenzie very recently and she was so funny. I really liked her.
Liv McPherson, someone else entirely. I actually did a little tally thing with Liv McKenzie, and I'm really sorry, Liv. So apologies.
What silly thing did you do?
Cubicle Confessions. You watched
Is that
it, obviously.
You're on the toilet.
What's that?
Yeah, we're on the toilet. No, it's just a little TVNZ on demand plus web series thing.
Did you know about this, Duncan?
I did not, and I tend to know about things.
And it's a toilet show, and you're only just telling us?
There was no actual toilets. I'm really destroying the mystery here. It was a set.
Oh, so it's like
Like we're talking
Jackass, the
we're
movie.
talking to each other in a mirror. It's actually very similar to Jackass the movie. So if that's your sort of thing, you'll love Cubicle
I actually
Confessions.
do like Jackass the movie. I think it's funny.
Real funny.
Okay, so yeah, this was, yes, you're right. There were a lot of jokes attempted. I think we were maybe trying to, I don't want to tell comedians how to comede, but too much effort being put in to do some one-liners.
It was really weird, right? Like, there's a lot of funny people there, and I'm sure that they can all bring it when required, but there was something off about the vibe and it is extremely like this podcast. It's kind of crazy, and it's also like, therefore it's rich, very rich, like a duck breast pate or something for us to be critiquing them. But these were if these were the best jokes, because they probably got about 7 to 12 minutes maybe. imagine all of the other ones. Like, can you possibly?
It was just crazy. And I think also they were not being generous with each other either. Like, no one was laughing for anybody. There was this fierce feeling of competition.
Yes.
And so, well, I kind of respected Johnny Bruff out of all of them for just being like, fuck it, I'm just going to take this insanely seriously and not make a single joke and get real into the menu.
No, he did do some jokes, though. And
He
they
did, yes.
absolutely tanked. Like, everyone's jokes sucked.
There were things
But at
like,
least he actually offered some proper critiques instead of being like, I'm a baby. I don't know what beef is.
That was pretty much like if you fed all of the jokes and just said you've got to condense it down into one line, it was that joke.
do you think these guys have been dreading this going to air? Because they must have felt it in the room at the time, you know?
I'm surprised some haven't just sort of
Left
taken
the
up new
country.
professions. And like I said, I like many of these comedians have been really funny
Yeah.
in other contexts. It was just something wasn't right.
I think as well, if it was just, there was probably good conversation and probably funny stuff that just didn't apply to the show,
Too rude, maybe?
but probably just should have put it in. You know,
Yeah.
do the comedians a favour, do the audience a favour, and put in the entertaining stuff. Who cares if it's not about the food?
On the other hand, is it funnier that all the comedians came on and just didn't do a single good joke? Like, maybe that's funnier.
But they, they got a nice meal.
Yeah,
I
it
would hope they got paid.
They even had a wine. Like, it wasn't like they were just dry.
Yeah.
I mean,
So
they were.
crucial.
What will forever stick in my head was Jack Ansett's anecdote about how his mum has a photo of Manu or a cutout from a magazine stuck on the back of her toilet door. And so he just came out like real early on. We haven't even had our first course yet. And he's like, I've taken a shit looking at you. And I was just like, this is so full on. But then Manu kind of adding this weird like, and your mum was doing something else.
Yeah.
And I was like, what?
What was she doing?
No.
I mean, don't answer. That's rhetorical. But also, if the picture's in the toilet in mum's house, it doesn't even make sense. Doesn't even make sense.
I think it makes sense.
It's not a sexy room.
No, I know.
You know?
Okay, I thought he
Not
meant
the way Manu
simultaneously
does it.
while you were doing the poo, mum was in another room doing something else.
But she
that's
can't
what
see the lovely
Yeah, that's what I'm
photograph.
saying. That's why it didn't make sense to me. But now I understand that I just got it wrong. That's fine.
This is such a great penultimate episode.
Sorry, guys. Look, Jess and Cindy.
We're just reporting on what happened.
Look, Jess and Cindy served up some blackened blue cod on a red capsicum sauce. I've put like one line, like no more than 3-word, like summaries of each dish. Okay, so I'm just going to cruise through that. Lacked an element. That's the review for that one. For their main, they served up honey soy pork belly with cauliflower puree and bok choy, which has auto-corrected to boo chop, by the way, in my doc.
You know what it did? It lacked an element.
It was also bit goopy.
Yeah.
Bit goopy all round. For dessert, Earl Grey chocolate mousse tart. Yuck, hey Earl Grey, don't do that.
Yeah.
Too much tart was the review there from me.
Did she make a real questionable joke about that? Like,
Who?
I thought she made a joke about Matt of Matt and Kirk fame, and just like now there's another big tart in the
Oh, yeah, they were loving
It was the
that.
Battle of the Tarts.
Yeah.
Battle of the
And I was
Tarts.
just like, is that okay?
Also, saying that they were good with meat. There was a
Yeah.
good with meat joke. There was a lot of flirting between Colin
It
and
just
Jess.
felt like some classic 2005 banter.
Yeah. There was a moment. I mean, we've already talked about this, but the judges are very handsy.
But
Oh,
they're
on the bare
actually
shoulders?
yeah, they're
Oh
very,
yeah, and I was like, if you're wearing a spaghetti strap, don't go near a woman.
But they're
in a
also-
spaghetti strap singlet.
more handsy with Jess than with Cindy, and not handsy with the blokes,
No,
and not
No.
so.
So they were. So Nikki pulled me up on this because I was ranting and raving in a very similar style to you two yesterday. And she said, actually, not only was it were their hands on the blokes, but they were hands on like the sort of hippie butt kind of area, you know, that sort of liminal space between the two. So equal opportunity handsy. But the whole time is just, I don't know, maybe it's just sort of the chefy thing. If you're a chef and you're listening, I mean, I'm sorry for so much, but get in touch really quickly because we've got no time.
There's no chefs. There are no people.
Hey, that's no.
They might have been at the top of the episode, but they're definitely not anymore.
God, Really bad.
At one point during the screening of this, I was yelling at my television, "Get your hands off her! Just stop touching them!" It was so much. Like, once you notice it, you really notice it.
Can you imagine being stressed, hot in a kitchen on a show like this, and then you've got hands on your bare shoulders? No.
Anyway, should we get on to Matt and Kurt's food?
Yep.
Okay, smoked Hawaii cream with mouldy fried bread and pickled veg. Pretty yum.
Yep.
Fillet of beef kumara gratin. Fillet of beef, kumara gratin, veg with blue cheese and peppercorn sauce. Not enough sauce.
Just going back to the fry bread, Joe Damon did comment accurately that because it was like a flatbread that they'd fried, not. And I had lovely fry bread from the Newton Central Hangi on. It's like the yummest food.
It is the yummest food.
I just think like it's fine to mess with things, but don't. I feel like I would feel very ripped off if I was expecting one thing and then that thing walked out, even if it was well executed.
I'd be very surprised if it walked out.
Well, it's true. So that terrible joke was better than any of the jokes.
That's good, yeah.
Okay, pear and almond tart with fromage blanc for dessert. Frangipani not perfect. That's my one line review of that. But overall, pretty good. Also, Matt at one point said minter, which I haven't heard since the 1990s.
I've never heard that in my life.
Minter?
Yeah, like it's minter. It's going to be minter.
Like Minter Ellis and Rudd Watts, the law firm.
Probably more like it's going to be mint, but minter. Like a munter.
More mint.
Interesting.
No, not more mint. Not more mint.
Just
mint.
Minter. That's
But
minter.
it's minter. It's minter. It's also going to be great. Awesome.
Oh, so what do you mean the word mint you haven't used?
No, minter.
Minter, like as a subgroup or derivation?
As a derivation.
I've never heard that.
Okay. Well, you weren't around in perhaps the time. You were still in England saying, jolly good, you know?
I was doing that. Shit. Crazy.
And you were probably not born, so.
I wasn't there.
Yeah. Okay. There was no crunch on the pork. There was the something was too soft. There was all the things. And at the end of the day, Matt and Kurt won.
Yep.
Congratulations. Jess and Cindy came back to try and win the competition. Didn't even make it to the final this time. Embarrassing for them.
Jess and Cindy, Jess particularly was quite... They talked about bittersweet, and she was increasingly just like
bitter.
Really, kind of quite unpleasant in a way that I really enjoyed from a TV perspective.
Yeah, there was a moment where like Matt was getting really like, it's been so, it's our last time cooking together. It's been such a pleasure cooking with you guys, and she just wasn't having any of it. She's like,
F you said C.
Fuck off.
Was she the one who she was even heckling in the final, right? From her seat, she's like, I'm hungry. Hurry up. Just in the middle of this like fancy restaurant.
Couldn't say because I watched the final 10 seconds, 10 seconds, 10 seconds, 10 seconds, 10 seconds, just like fast forwarding through.
Oh, really? Well, I watched it all.
Well, it's because I had a time pressure situation.
Okay, let's go.
I was in a pressure cooker.
I was a pressure cooker.
And I was clearly drunk.
Is that one of those talks that are like people are always trying to give away tickets to on Slack?
Was that my computer that just made a sing song? Sorry. Okay, the French Cafe. Just talked about it last week. Degustation. What are you doing? Stop it. Get a hold of yourself.
It was a good joke. It was a good joke.
This is a good joke.
It was a good joke.
It's like, and it's also funny that it's happened probably once. But it stands. It really holds up.
Okay, so this was filmed over 2 nights. You've got a packed restaurant, 4-course meal. You've got a mix of previous contestants, friends and fam, and 4 chefs whose name I didn't catch apart from Sid.
So tell you
The
what.
main thing is they're all blokes. And no girls allowed at all apart from Vicky. You're the only one allowed anywhere, please.
But not like we've got 2 male judges and they're like, okay, we need 4 more judges. What should we look for? 4 lads? It's like 6 lads. And then
Guys,
it's crazy.
Okay, look, men can't help it if men are better at everything than women.
I mean, that's true.
So, it's all the pool they had to pull from.
For all that, if we absent the fact that it's a complete diversity disaster, I really liked them as talent. Like they had good critiques. They were.
They weren't overly mean, which I thought was nice because I feel like you could sort of. I'm sure they could pull apart those meals more than they did. I think they were a nice mix of like constructive criticism and credit where it's due kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, I just sort of felt like so with Canoe and Mullen, as they're known. I don't trust them. Like they're making a show. But these four have to live, work, and eat in this town, and I feel like they can't say a thing that's terrible is good. And I think like they were sincerely impressed, and so that helped me kind of properly understand how good are these so-called. They're not called so-called master chefs.
Canoe and Mullen. I also liked how they were frequently like split down the middle on opinion. You know, it's like food is subjective, it's creative, it's art, it's whatever you make it.
It was actually looked pretty yum. If you were to choose,
it did look good.
I'll quickly run through the menu. So Vicky and Pascal did grilled octopus, duck, cherry and pate, vegetable cassoulet with salmon and bread, nectarine, hearty thing with marmalade, blah blah blah, and the other two, Matt and Kurt. Oh God, I haven't got it written down. Oh no, tuna, linguine, lamb with a fondant, potatoes, and panna cotta. If you were to look at those menus, which one would you choose?
Matt and Kurt's.
I mean, look, to be clear, like I've never eaten octopus and never will, but just on the basis of like, that's a way more hardcore, innovative, like. I'm curious. Like I sort of feel like I know what everything on Matt and Kurt's menu tastes like. Whereas
it's true.
I respect the hell out of Vicky and Pascal, and I would eat their menu in the same way that like sometimes I eat things which I think are going to be yuck, and they do turn out to be yuck for me because I want to like be challenged and rather than just have like a nice thing.
I just want the nice thing.
I wanted the nice thing, please. Thank you very much.
This is my problem in this world. I always get the wrong one.
The course 3 vegetable cassoulet, putting the vegetable cassoulet as the first thing on the menu. I know there was salmon in there, but I don't want veggie cassoulet as a hero of my main dish. Thanks. I want meat.
Yeah.
You guys are vegetarian, so it's different,
I'm not actually.
No.
I
Currently
feel
a
a
working
deep
vegetarian.
lust for cassoulet now.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is. It's sort of like a stew with beans in it. But the way that Manu, especially I feel like when Manu talks about French food, it is just like crazy.
Yeah.
I just want to eat it so much. And then when he was so excited to find out that she had put the duck fat in it and she, again, maybe crossing a boundary, kissed her on the forehead, potentially.
Definitely crossing a boundary.
He was just so excited. But I was just like, cassoulet,
yeah.
Who are you?
Okay.
Where are you?
I think what would have happened if we'd all gone out and ordered we had a set menu and I'd gotten Matt and Kurt's, I would have been like, yum, but I would have had a bit of food envy of yours, ultimately.
Yeah, I basically like Vicky and Pascal right throughout the whole show were, the knock on Pascal was that he was overly critical. And because they cooked last, which again I think was really smart sequencing, there was a lot of like, who the hell is this guy? And then from the point they started cooking in the show, which was halfway through, you were just like, these guys they just built and built and built. And then by the end, you're like, these guys could and probably will open like a fine dining restaurant and it probably will win a hat. Like it seems like they're just legitimately really good. Every time they cook a dish, there's something I've literally never heard of, some technique they're using, and they always do some extra thing. But I think they might just genuinely be really freaking amazing household cooks.
They also don't stress out and they don't when they make mistakes, they sort of manage to fix them. But it just was never the same level of stress in their kitchens as in other people's. They did only cook. Okay, so for this whole season, they only cooked 4 times.
It's still harder than the block.
The easiest path to 100K. The easiest path to 100K.
So this is a sort of, it's not a commercial break, but it's a break. We're talking about a cooking show, and if you're listening to this...
I want to know what's eating Aotearoa.
That's what I want to know too. And I feel like we're about to shut down this beloved podcast and this beloved Substack. So if you're paying, you'll no longer be paying. We'd be so grateful if you took some proportion of that future income that you're saving by not having to listen to this and donated it to What's Eating Aotearoa as a project. I feel like we're all going to do cool things for it, and it's one of the things that is going to consume us next year in a way that this podcast has historically. And yeah, if you just go to thespinoff.co.nz/pledge me and just have a look around, there's some cracking rewards. Some of them woefully overpriced and really just not moving. We're going to have to get Cyber Monday on the pricing of some of these.
Put it this way,
me.
If you're missing Duncan Grieve talking on mic on the Real Pod, here is an opportunity for you to put your money, quite a bit of it, where your mouth is, right?
Yeah. I mean, look, that's not going to sell, is it? Let's be honest. But there's really cool ones involving Alex and Tara that I think are still available at time of speaking. And
yeah, and Maddie Holden writing your dating
No, that's
That's
sold
sold
out.
out.
Sold out.
Is it sold out?
Sold out
immediately.
As it should be.
Yes.
Toby Manhire will do a speech about anything.
That's
to
still
anyone.
available. That should be sold out.
That actually, I don't think people realise just how good of a reward that is. If they did, it would have been snapped up by now. But yeah, there are rewards. You can actually sort of.
We should be able to pay for Duncan not to do a monopod. Like, I think that would be like a better public service. It's like when I feel the urge, I'll just be like, no, and then I'll just put up a little podcast saying I didn't do this thanks to, Jerry from Lower Hutt.
Hey, just one quick question on the T's and C's of lunch with Duncan Grieve.
Yeah.
What were you eating?
So Matt and Kurt's. No.
Don't tell lies.
I don't know what we're eating. I haven't really paid much attention, but it'll be delicious and will be gift with purchase. Anyway, what's eating Aotearoa? It's going to be a really, really cracking project, and we'd love it if you would support it. Let's go back to the podcast.
Okay, by the way, Duncan Grieve, a raconteur, entrepreneur, and media whiz.
I edited that out.
It's there.
Oh, Jesus Christ on a bike.
The whiz. Gary Freeman.
That's actually high praise. High praise. Okay, what were the feedbacks on the foods? Octopus, chefs loved it. They'd pay for it. The duck was slightly over. Needed some crunch on the plate, but had it come just next in the course of events, then it would have been fine.
They're like DJs who put the songs in the wrong order.
Yeah. Vegetable cassoulet, salmon and bread. Yum. Put the salmon other side up. Come on, guys.
That's
Crunchy
so
skin.
basic.
Idiots.
And the nectarine thing, yum. Everyone loved it. That looked so yummy. And for Matt and Kurt, tuna, great. Everyone loved it. Looked very fancy.
Sensational. Those boys know their way around fish, don't they?
They really, really do.
Fishy boys.
The linguine divided the table a bit, but looked yum to me. Lamb with fondant potatoes. Whoops, the fondant wasn't a fondant. The herb crumb wasn't a crumb.
That was intentional, though, but the fondant not being a fondant seems like they just didn't know what a fondant was.
What
I'm
is
like,
a
come
fondant?
on.
What is a fondant?
I don't know what a fondant.
Someone tell me what a fondant
Because fondant, there's so many, like there's the stuff, there's like Larissa's fondant, right, from the
Yeah.
Real Pod Museum, which is, cake icing. Then there's fondants, which are like those little molten lava cakes. They get called fondants. And then there's, what's potato fondant?
Sounds
Potatoes.
yummy.
I think they need.
Samuel's got it.
Fondant potatoes is a method of preparing potatoes that traditionally involve cutting them into cylinders, browning the ends, and then slowly roasting the potatoes in butter and stock.
That's what they did.
Oh, that sounds good.
Didn't they do that? I mean, they were in
No.
cylinders.
This is like a big, it was like a chunky.
It was like a
chunky
rosti,
fried
a glorified
potato.
rosti.
Was it not brownie
Yeah.
on the top and bottom? Like, oh shit, that looks good though.
I'm such a hungry
Holy
boy.
shit, look at those ones in that skillet.
I gotta go. We gotta finish this podcast.
Okay.
I'm dying of food. What's the opposite of food? Hungry.
That's what it says on thesaurus.
What's the opposite of food?
Panna cotta, but too sweet. Look, the announcement of the win. This was as much of a letdown as not the result, but like the way it was announced was just it's so flat.
Oh,
It
the
was-
big announcement, yeah.
They
and
had
like
the
one
confetti.
confetti cannon.
One confetti cannon just on the side of, so it only went over the winner. So I mean, they must have presumed when they saw the intern standing there with the confetti cannon ready to go. It's the double announcement, isn't it?
It's the double announcement. Sam Brooks was there for it. He's written a behind the scenes account. They shot both. They shot both potential winners. So that's probably why the energy feels a bit weird and the confetti.
Why did they do that? So that no one would know.
Yeah. They do.
Just to keep it, yeah.
They do. They people find out as it airs. It's to ruin spoilers.
So like,
it's not to prevent spoilers.
So like Matt and Kurt are still like, because this was shot in the 90s.
Okay.
Like, this is so old.
Do you know what?
Matt and Kurt are long dead. This is crazy.
We saw screeners, and we are recording this on a Monday before putting it out on the Tuesday. We could ring them up and ruin it.
I want to get on the blower with the tab and put a bloody wager down. This is honestly crazy, though, that they don't know. It's so long, TVNZ.
Well, it was the same with The Apprentice. Remember we watched The Apprentice and they didn't know.
I'm surprised this wasn't part of the bloody coalition agreement that you end this sick practice.
MKR, they're famous for this. There was a lot of controversy about this in like the 2010s because there were a couple of teams who didn't quite realise that they hadn't won. And I don't even understand exactly how it works, but it's to prevent spoilers. But TVNZ sent us the screeners. It was just like every other week of screeners, please don't, but there was no big special, God.
It's crazy power that we have.
We have the
It
craziest
is crazy.
power.
And also, is it like, I can maybe understand a while back, the 2010s perhaps, when like a reality TV winner was big news, but is it that?
I didn't think that I just thought
that's the thing I was talking about at the top.
It's monoculture.
because we got the screeners in such a just chill way, I thought they wouldn't have shot two endings. And so I'm surprised to hear that they did. But anyway, so it was a very lackluster kind of, oh, yeah. And then Mino was like, how are you feeling? And Vicky's like, oh, good. That was it, pretty much. And then that was it. It was over. 5 weeks,
Wow.
10 episodes, just 4 cooks for Vicky and Pascal, and they are 10 grand richer. Could not be easier.
10 grand is-
100.
100 grand
grand.
richer. Could not be easier. Could not be easier.
No, but see, I continued my spirited argument with literally everyone else on earth last night to Nikki, and she was like, because my thesis, and I still think it sounds like their techniques that they use to win that thing are so many and varied and refined. It's just a lot of work.
Yeah, but you can, I think to Alex's point, you can train up and do that like in your spare time. You go on the block and you are beholden to talent shows and to, block dinner wars.
It's very
and
annoying.
bullshit.
I accept that, but I think you can walk in. You can do like 3 months of training and get up to be sort of like quite a good blockaholic. But like for Vicky and Pascal, like, because the thing is, we're talking about as a standing start. We're talking about a member of the literal Real Pod, like a prize idiot.
Yeah, but you don't go in there as a prize idiot. You train.
Yeah, but
train.
that's what I'm saying. The training for a prize idiot to get up to beating Vicky and Pascal, because that is the baseline.
We could do it, Alex.
I reckon.
I think with a year we could do
We
it.
could do it.
Yeah.
Absolutely immersed
Yeah.
So-
in knife skills and blah-de-blah. I reckon we could get there.
We could really
And
hone
like,
our
there's-
blah-de-blah.
It's such a short shoot as well, like that's what's beautiful
And
about
you can
it.
go back. You can do a Cindy and
sleeps.
Jess and go
Couple
back.
sleeps to the 100K. See you there.
This is why we've had to shut down the pod, actually, because this is the
this
thing that's
argument has
divided
just
us.
divided a podcast.
Oh, and that is our podcast.
Wow.
I can't believe it.
Can you believe it?
That's the last one.
I think it's good to do the worst one in history as the last.
Yeah.
It really probably shows you what you're not going to be missing,
Well, it's good because people will be like, yeah, what's time? They actually had
You
it.
could hear it.
Like a lot of comedies do one season, two or three seasons too many, like especially network comedies. I feel like that's sort of we're very broad. Do you know what I mean? And it's just we're really, it's finished.
Oh, man, it's so grim.
Crazy.
I'm
This
sorry.
is crazy.
It's
My
actually
mood
not
is
finished
wrong.
because we've got the live stream tomorrow today. Depends on when you're listening. Please join us for it. We promise that it's going to be slightly more exciting than the confetti
We'll all be
cannon.
in the same room as
That's-
well.
that's
which is
true.
Massive.
That's going to be the best bit.
Well, we're going to get a confetti
Is there a
cannon
confetti
for the
cannon?
end.
Could anyone
We could get
secure
one.
Are we going to shoot two
a
endings?
confetti cannon? The one we
One where you two win and one where I win?
no point. No point. We can put it to public vote, though. Oh, we can do a poll during the thing. Can we do it? Do we have the technology?
That seems
About what? Just
unfair.
who is the best?
No! About
What?
blog easiest way to the 100K. Oh, I just gave a name for the poll as well.
Easiest way to the 100K.
That's a good thing.
Thank you. Okay. All right. We'll finish on a high. We're just $100,000 richer. Thank you very much. And goodbye, good evening, good morning, goodbye.
Are you curious about how business can be better? I'm Simon Pound, and I host Business is Boring, a podcast where I kōrero with some of the most interesting people in entrepreneurship, commerce, and making things happen. Tune in to Business is Boring every Tuesday, brought to you by the Spin-off Podcast Network in partnership with Spark Business Lab.
Kia ora, this is Toby Manhire, here to urge you to tune in to Gone by Lunchtime, a podcast with me, Annabelle Lee Mather and Ben Thomas, tackling the world of New Zealand politics, from policy to polling, from scandal to psychodrama. Listen to Gone by Lunchtime, brought to you by the Spin-off Podcast Network, wherever good pods are sold.
The Spin-off Podcast Network.